السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
الله أكبر الله أكبر. الله أكبر الله أكبر. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله. أشهد أن محمدًا رسول الله. أشهد أن محمدًا رسول الله. حي على الصلاة. حي على الصلاة. حي على الفلاح. حي على الفلاح. الله أكبر الله أكبر. لا إله إلا الله.
إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا. من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له، وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له، وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله. أما بعد، فإن أصدق الحديث كتاب الله تعالى، وأحسن الهدي هدي محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم، وشر الأمور محدثاتها، وكل محدثة بدعة، وكل بدعة ضلالة، وكل ضلالة في النار. قال الله تعالى: يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله حق تقاته ولا تموتن إلا وأنتم مسلمون. يا أيها الناس اتقوا ربكم الذي خلقكم من نفس واحدة وخلق منها زوجها وبث منهما رجالا كثيرا ونساء، واتقوا الله الذي تساءلون به والأرحام إن الله كان عليكم رقيبا. يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله وقولوا قولا سديدا يصلح لكم أعمالكم ويغفر لكم ذنوبكم، ومن يطع الله ورسوله فقد فاز فوزا عظيما. ثم ما بعد. All thanks and praise due to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, for we seek His help and His forgiveness, and we seek refuge in Allah from the evil within ourselves and the consequences of our evil deeds. Whoever Allah guides can never be led astray, and whoever Allah leads astray can never find guidance, and I bear witness that Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam is His last and final messenger. In our lives, there are many factors that affect our deen and our relation with Allah. And there's many factors that can bring us closer to Allah or further away from Allah. May Allah make us closer to Him. One of those factors is who you surround yourself with. And typically this talk is given, or this topic is chosen for people that are younger, but it can be applied to anyone of any age category. Those that we surround ourselves with have an impact on us. Their actions rub off on you, and they always say that your surrounding, your group, says enough about you. You are who your group is. The actions of your group reflect how you are as an individual. So in order for you to be able to practice deen comfortably, in order for you to become closer with Allah, it's essential that you also surround yourself with those that have the same mindset. Now, before we continue, remember that it's not easy for you to surround yourself and then surround yourself with wrong people, people that are committing haram, people that are against the deen, people that follow anything what the deen says. They do the exact opposite. To surround yourself with people of this nature is going to result in you eventually be falling into the same trap. It eventually rubs off on you. Now, before we continue, let's look at a hadith from Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam about the qualities of a best friend. Now, if you look at these criteria, use this as a method to filter out anything or anyone that is in your life. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said that a friend is someone, a true friend, someone that you should have in your life is someone, when you see them, when you look at them, when you see them, you are reminded of Allah. When speaking to them, it increases your knowledge, and their actions remind you of the hereafter. Now, what does it mean? We look at three criteria. Number one, seeing him reminds you of Allah. This individual not only has an Islamic appearance, but appearance means nothing when there isn't action. But if someone, you look at someone, you know this person prays. This person, when you leave, when you're outside hanging, whatever the case may be, and they leave everything they're doing and they go to pray, that reminds you of Allah, and that also is about actions. But seeing someone, knowing how they are, and that reminds you of Allah, that's a quality someone should have. Next point that the hadith mentions is speaking to them should increase your knowledge. And we talked about this before too, about hadith, that when you have nothing good to say, keep it cut, keep it on the low. Just end it, nothing to talk about. So good speech is important. Now if you have nothing good to say, don't say it. They have that saying in schools nowadays. But if you speak to them, it should increase your knowledge. Someone that is knowledgeable, not only in the deen, but you should also prioritize the deen, number one, but also prioritize someone being good in this dunya. Now again, when you sit down with someone, and there's foul talk, there's inappropriate talk, there's talk about nothing important. Talk about, oh, this person did that, this person did that. Not only is that gossip, which is a sin, but at the same time, you're not increasing your knowledge. There's no benefit to you. And keep in mind the aspect of benefit, and we'll talk about that later. So again, speaking to them increases your knowledge. Now this doesn't mean that you sit down 24/7 having to talk about Islam, the deen, about this, about that. But there's no foul talk. And someone that has knowledge will have mannerisms. Rasulullah ﷺ said that it's a responsibility upon a believer to obtain knowledge. As Muslims, we shouldn't just be satisfied with whatever small box we are in, and whatever box of knowledge we are in, we should increase our knowledge. Now, when you have someone in your group, when you have someone that's part of your friend group, that you surround yourself with, that has knowledge, when speaking to him increases your knowledge, this is one means of obtaining knowledge, which is a responsibility that you have as a Muslim. And the last part of the hadith mentions that that characteristic. So number one is seeing him reminds you of Allah. Number two is that speaking to him increases your knowledge. The third one is his actions remind you of the hereafter. The actions remind you of the hereafter. Now when someone prays, when someone does the right thing, they're doing it for who? For Allah. They should be doing it for Allah. Now all those actions are supposed to be, so that way on Yawm al-Qiyamah, may Allah grant us Jannat al-Firdaus, that we come with mountains worth of good deeds. Alright? We have as many good deeds as we can. Now when someone is partaking in vulgar actions, when someone's partaking in this and in that, it rubs off on you. Those actions remind you of the hereafter in the bad way. That, this person, may Allah protect them, might go into the nar, to the hellfire. Now on the other end of the spectrum, you should have someone in your life, seeing him reminds you, you know what, all of you guys are gathered together. They get up and they go pray. That reminds you that you also have to do the same thing. Now these three criteria that we have, if anyone in your life, if any friends in your life, if they fit this criteria, well and good, perfect. But if they don't, let go of them. They bring no benefit to you in your life. And that brings us to another ayah in the Quran in Surah Zukhruf. الْأَخِلَّاءُ يَوْمَئِذٍ بَعْضُهُمْ لِبَعْضٍ عَدُوٌّ إِلَّا الْمُتَّقِينَ. الْأَخِلَّاءُ يَوْمَئِذٍ بَعْضُهُمْ لِبَعْضٍ عَدُوٌّ إِلَّا الْمُتَّقِينَ. On a day, on Yawm al-Qiyamah, I will be of no benefit to someone. Those non-Muslim friends you have will be of no benefit to you. They themselves are the ones that are in need of help. The ayah mentions on a day where everyone will be enemies. The ayah mentions at the end, إِلَّا الْمُتَّقِينَ. Those that believe. Now someone that believes will be true to you in this world, and there's an aspect of sincerity we'll touch up on later. But at the same time, on that day, no prophet will be able to help you except for Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. People will go to the prophets before, asking for help. They'll be saying simply that we need help ourselves. You're on your own. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam will be the only individual helping us out. Your parents, your kids, no one will be able to help you. But they won't be your enemies. Those pious, those that believer friends that you have will be the ones that will be your friends on Yawm al-Qiyamah. Which brings us to another hadith where Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam mentions that the believer, that your circle should be only that one should take a believer as friends only. Now this doesn't mean that you take non-believers as, just ignore them. But we live in a non-Muslim country, you're going to interact with them. The important key component is that when you have people in your lives that you hang out with, for example, in school, in work, non-Muslim people, you're going to interact with them. But outside, you should have Muslim friends. Now, why is this? When someone comes to the masajid, when you come to the masajid, when you go to places that are in a halal environment, those actions will rough on you. Someone that wants to become closer to the deen should surround themselves with people that are on the deen. In order for me to become a better individual, in order for me to be reminded of my deen, I'm not going to go to a haram place, a bar or a club, and go find Muslim friends there to help me with my deen. No, you're going to come to the masajid. You're going to have Muslim friends that will keep you in check. Let alone someone that doesn't follow the deen, because not only are they themselves going to spiral downwards, but they're going to bring you down with them. But that doesn't mean to degrade anyone. That doesn't mean to look down on anyone. This is meant, you help them out as well. Take them under your arm, bring them to the masajid. And this brings us to another point moving forward, that when someone wants to, you have a surrounding of people that are on the deen, a surrounding of people that are sincere to them, a surrounding of people that follow Islam the way it's supposed to be followed, following the deen the way it's supposed to be followed, following the sunnah. Before they can find people like that, they themselves need to apply that to themselves. They have that saying, check yourself before you wreck yourself, right? Rasulullah ﷺ mentioned that if you want to mention the faults of anyone, look at your own faults before. Why? Because when I stand up here, for example, and I talk about these things, or when you advise someone, if you do not yourself apply it, then that individual will laugh in your face. That individual will have no regards for what you have to say. And when you talk with your actions, when you speak while doing something, when you actually have those characteristics in you, it is not your tongue talking, it is your heart talking. And when you talk from your heart, it will actually apply to that person. But that's another point for another time. So again, it's important that you surround yourself with someone that is on the deen. And this doesn't only apply to younger people as well. This applies to older people as well. Of all age categories. Have people in your lives that are on the deen. For again, they bring no benefit. If they're not on the deen, not only do they not bring you no benefits in this dunya, in terms of helping you follow your deen, helping you stay on the deen. Alright? But at the same time, on Yawm al-Qiyamah, it's even more on the other end of the spectrum. They want nothing to do with you. And our priority is to do good on Yawm al-Qiyamah. That's why we're here in this dunya, to do good on Yawm al-Qiyamah. This dunya is a test for us. So if that individual, and this isn't selfish at all, you want to have people, you want to have characteristics and factors in your life that bring you closer to Allah. Now, one of the biggest factors is your friends, of course. What happens when you surround yourself with bad people? What happens when you surround yourself with individuals that do haram? And a lot of people say, oh, I won't fall into the peer pressure, this isn't me, it's okay, I can control myself. No. What happens is, one day you see it, you see these actions, and you're completely against it. And when you allow these actions to be happening in front of you, when you allow these actions to be surrounding you, one day you see it, you say, oh, this is haram. Next day you see, oh, it's haram, but he's young. Oh, he's haram the next day. Oh, it's haram, but you know what? It's a once-in-a-time thing. Oh, you know what? It's not that bad. What happens is, since you allow those actions to happen around you, since you surround yourself with those actions become normalized. It will stop becoming that big of a deal to you. Quick example, and it may be a bit of a very general example, and it may be off the topic a little bit, but look at snow, for example. Snowfall for us is not that big of a deal. In New York, New Jersey, snow, I'm from Brooklyn, snow is a very normal thing. But when someone comes from a Middle Eastern country, when someone comes from a country where it's extremely hot, near the equator, they come and they see snow, it's as if a magic is, some miracle is happening. It's snow falling from the sky. It's been normalized to us since we see it all the time. Now apply that same idea over here. When you see something that's happening wrong, you allow yourself to see these actions, surround yourself with these actions. Eventually, if you keep these actions in your lives, it's going to become normalized. Now once it's become normalized, whether you do it or not, it's not going to be that big of a deal to you. Because it's became normalized. It's not that big of a deal. It's normal to you now. It's light. But when you have people in your life that are on the deen, when you have people that are in your life that follow Islam, these actions won't be present. And these actions will seem extremely, extremely wrong to you. And that's exactly what you want. These actions should not be normalized. Haram should not be taken as, oh, it's haram, it's okay, I'll ask for forgiveness. No. Yes, Allah will forgive you. But when your intent is to do haram and then ask forgiveness, that's not what counts. When we as humans screw up a little bit, when we mess up a little bit, that's when we turn to Allah with sincerity. But for me to commit a sin and be like, okay, I'm going to do this sin, then repent? No, that's not how it works. So again, back to the point of it being normalized. When you surround yourself with people that do wrong, eventually these actions become normalized and you fall into that trap. And the waswasa of shaitan, the whisper of shaitan will get to you. Oh, it's not that big of a deal. Oh, it's okay, just do it. Do it one time. Once you do it one time, after that, you do it multiple times. And then from there on, you keep going downwards. Now, if you do not allow these actions to be around you to begin with, then seeing that action, even from a mile away, is going to, disgust you on the inside. And that's exactly how you want it. Rasulullah ﷺ mentioned that a Muslim, a believer, if you see an action, stop it with your hands. If you can't stop it physically, stop it verbally. If you can't stop it verbally, then the lowest level of Iman is to at least dislike it in your heart. Not for us to surround ourselves with actions and not do anything about it. That's wrong. We shouldn't be in that situation to begin with. And how do we avoid those situations of being around haram? How do we avoid the situation of not seeing haram? By having people in our life that are doing halal. People in our lives that are righteous. People in our lives that are sincere to us. The element of sincerity we mentioned in the second half of the khutbah. But again, this is the importance of surrounding yourself with people that are righteous, people that are on the deen. Rasulullah ﷺ also mentioned that in a hadith, a true friend is someone who remembers his friend in three scenarios: in ordeal, in death, and in absence. A bit of a different order, but these are the three examples that he mentioned. And this is where the element of sincerity comes in as well. And all these people in your lives, all these people that are, not against Islam rather, but more so not following Islam, the element of sincerity is not there as well. And inshallah, like I said, we'll talk about that in the second half. But this is the importance of having people in your lives that are on the deen. Now, be it older people, be it younger people. For us, we go, for younger kids, we go hang out with our friends. We go over here, we go play ball, whatever the case is. For the older people, when you sit down, if these individuals talk about politics for no reason, talk about, oh, this person did that or this person did that, when there's vulgarity being discussed, when there's inappropriate things being discussed, when that talk has no value, do not be in that situation. You can be doing something better. Now, this doesn't just apply, like I mentioned multiple times, to younger people. This applies to everyone. And those three criteria that we had of seeing them reminds you of Allah, speaking to them increases your knowledge, and their action reminds you of the hereafter. Use this as a filter to see who in your life should stay and who in your life shouldn't. Because if they do not follow the deen, if their talk is vulgar, if their actions do not remind you of the hereafter, why are you holding their burden in your life? For when you have someone in your life that's sincere, that's true to you, that's true to Allah, your life will become better. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to allow us to have sincere people in our lives. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to allow us to make our surroundings of those that are righteous. And we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to allow us to enter Jannah Firdaus. أقول قولي هذا وأستغفر الله لي ولكم. Alhamdulillah wa salatu wa salam ala rasulillah ma ba'd. Excuse me. So there's another ayah in the Quran. Ya waylata laytani lam attakhidh fulan khalila. Surah Furqan. A day where people will cry out in regret as to why I took this individual. Whoa, why did I take this individual as a friend? This is what happens. We'll cry out, may Allah protect us from this scenario. Those that surround themselves with people that do wrong, fall into those actions, and in Yawm al-Qiyamah they'll cry out as to why I took these individuals, knowing that those actions were a result of them having those individuals in their lives. Another element of sincerity that it's extremely important is, someone talked to me about this one time, and it was a bit of a brainstorming question. How does someone love someone for the sake of Allah? Now, before we focus on loving someone for the sake of Allah, only a true believer, only a Muslim friend who understands the concept of obeying Allah and doing things for the sake of Allah, not Christian friends are going to be like, I'm going to do something for Allah. It's of course Muslim friends, right? Someone that values and is sincere to Allah. So, how does someone love someone for the sake of Allah? Now, me as a Muslim, you guys have a right upon me. For me to help you, this is, like an obligation upon me to help my Muslim fellow brothers and sisters. So when someone loves someone for the sake of Allah, regardless of whether they have $1 million to their name, $1 to their name, 5 cents to their name, and regardless of whether they can bring any materialistic benefit in their life or not, that individual does not care, because they are sincere to you for the sake of Allah. They know the rights that you have upon them. They know that they have to help you. And when they understand that, and when they fear Allah, when they worry for Allah, and when they love you for the sake of Allah, not for the sake of money, not for the sake of benefit. Benefit, again, be it Islamic, is good. But when I say benefit, in this case, I mean about financial benefit, about materialistic benefit. Someone doesn't care about whatever you can provide for them. Those rights that they have, or you have upon them rather, they're going to fulfill those rights. And that's when someone loves you for the sake of Allah. So whenever there's an argument, they're sincere to you and to Allah, right? There's a little bit of an argument, they put it to the side. There's a little bit of a hiccup, they put it to the side. That brings us to another hadith. Rasulullah said, have as many true friends as you can, because they are supplies in joy and shelters in misfortune. Now, when someone is sincere to you, loves you for the sake of Allah, is a true friend, these characteristics also apply. They are true friends to you. They'll be supplies in joy and shelter in misfortune. Meaning, supplies in joy. When there's a moment of happiness, they'll provide that joy to you. They'll make sure that you share that happiness with them. They'll try to make you happy. They'll try to put you in a position to make you happy. They'll do something for you. They love you for the sake of Allah. And they are supplies in joy. And they are shelters in misfortune. When something happens, for example, someone doesn't have a place to stay, someone doesn't have food at night. Now, a Muslim that loves that individual for the sake of Allah, a Muslim friend that knows that this person, like I have an obligation upon this person to help him. That person, despite whatever circumstances, will help them in that misfortune because he knows it loves that individual for the sake of Allah, and that individual has that right upon them. Now, when someone is not sincere to you, not true to you, if you can't bring them any benefit, in misfortune, they're nowhere to be seen. How many of you, the people in your lives, think about this a little bit. How many of the people that you hold close to you, how many people that are in your friend group, if you were to have an unfortunate circumstance, how many of them would be there? Think about it. Now, how many people in that group would you be there for? Do they replicate that same thing? Do they love you for the sake of Allah, or do they love you because you bring some sort of benefit to them? The benefit being worldly and materialistic. Think about it for a second. Do you want to surround yourself with people like this? Or would you rather have someone, regardless of whatever you have to your name or not to your name, doesn't matter. They love you for the sake of Allah. They want to help you for the sake of Allah. They want to bring you closer to Allah. And wallahi, I guarantee it that you can have the same amounts of fun and enjoyment with this group as compared to that group that brings you down, that does haram. I myself hang out with my friends. But when it comes time for salah, you should go pray. When it comes time, there's people that tell me, Rahman, let's go pray. That's the people that you should have in your lives. And at the same time, when it's time to have fun, we have fun. But there's supposed to be a balance. And who understands this balance? Someone that understands the deen. Someone that understands the deen, someone that understands the religion, someone that knows the balance of the religion, the beauty of the religion, someone that loves you for the sake of Allah. And again, there's many hadith that talk about surroundings, people you should surround yourself with, but the idea is consistent. Have someone in your life that loves you for the sake of Allah. Have someone in your life that is Muslim. Have someone in your life that understands and loves the deen. Have someone in your life that is sincere to you. So that way, unfortunate circumstances happen by the will of Allah. Always give credit to Allah for anything. Any good thing that happens in your life, don't say, oh, this person helped me. Allah helped me by allowing this person to help me. So do not give credit to anyone but Allah first. Alright? So you're in an unfortunate circumstance, that individual is able to help you by the will of Allah. You're happy, you can share that happiness with people in your life. You need to, get back on your deen a little bit, you can talk to that friend. You have a question in regards to that need, to the deen, that individual who when speaking to him increases your knowledge, you can go ask him. Rather, instead of having people in your life, when you see them, they ask you for something, for some benefit, and when you give them that benefit, they're nowhere to be seen. This is the important part of our lives. This key component of having people in your life can bring you closer to Allah, can remind you of Allah. Like I mentioned earlier, Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu, in the beginning of the khutbah, Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu, ittaqullah, fear Allah. Will you have people in your life that are going to help you understand this concept, bring you closer to Allah, or people that are going to drag you down? And the scenario or the situation of having friends is it's extremely, extremely important. We end off on two scenarios, and this is more of a bit of a situation I've seen myself. An individual that I used to go to school with. This person had a bad surrounding, used to be a good-looking kid, mashallah, smart. And this is a bit off topic, but this shows you the importance of having a good friend group. was a good kid, was a bit of a class clown, got left back, didn't see him, gained a lot of weight, lost all that weight, come to find out, no one knows where he is, slurring his words. And he was about my age, he was even younger. When he was 14, 15, was slurring his words. Started using hardcore substances because of his friend group. Now at the same time, you see people that convert to Islam, that love Islam sincerely, or that actually become better individuals. Now on the same end of the spectrum, someone I knew was doing hardcore substances. And on the other end now, he's a completely changed person, giving khutbahs, talking about Islam, researching, planning on going to Islamic universities. This is what a friend group can do to you. الأخلاء يومئذ بعضهم لبعض عدو إلا المتقين. Now forget about the world. إلا المتقين, on a day when no one, is going to be able to help anyone, those individuals that are sincere to each other will be friends. And another hadith that comes to mind, the 7 people on Yawm al-Qiyamah that will be given shade on a day where there is no shade. The sun will be extremely close to you. People will be drowning in their own sweat. Someone that's given shade on this day, individuals that are given shade on this day, you know who? Those that come together and separate for the sake of Allah. They love each other for the sake of Allah. They come and they depart on Allah's, talking about Allah, loving each other for the sake of Allah. These individuals will be given shade on Yawm al-Qiyamah. Now when someone loves you for the sake of Allah, we mentioned how they act and how sincere they are, not only to Allah, but they are sincere to you as well. This is how important it is. Someone, or loving someone, or someone that loves you for the sake of Allah, helps you for the sake of Allah. You guys come together and depart for the sake of Allah. This action itself is so righteous. This action itself is deemed so high that on Yawm al-Qiyamah you will be given shade. On a day where people will be drowning in their own sweat because they don't have shade protecting them from the sun. How close it will be. This is the virtue of surrounding yourself with those that are righteous, those that love the deen. So it's not something to be taken lightly, and we conclude on this. These small factors that we don't pay attention to, these small things that we look over and just brush off, these factors are extremely important. Now your lifestyle, the way you act, these are separate topics, but these small minute things that we don't focus on play a big role in making our lives easier, making our lives closer to Allah, making our state closer to Allah, making our hearts closer to Allah. These small things that we don't pay attention to, your friend group, your lifestyle, your actions, your intentions, your focus. If you don't focus in your prayer, you're just doing actions when there's no, your mind isn't in the right place. These small things. And one of those is friends. Now, people in our lives that we see, we don't really think about how this person can help me in my deen. We see them, chit-chat a little bit, laugh it off, have a cup of tea, and khalas, we go on our way. But there's more to it than that. Do you want to be with these people in Jannah? Or you only see them to pass time? When you could be doing something better with your time. When you could be hanging with better people in your time. So again, your presence. Find these friends in the masajid. Find these people in places that are righteous, places that are halal. And again, that criteria that I gave you, focus on this. Do these people have these criteria? When you see someone that needs help, help them out. Extend that hand to them. For someone can be in a situation where they need you as a good friend to help them get out of that misfortune, to help them get out of that situation where they're falling away from the deen. And that's a lot of hasanat for you. So be generous. Extend the arms to those that need it. Find correct people in your life to surround yourself with. Value those that are good to the deen. Don't just take them light as well. For someone that is in your life that is sincere to you, be appreciative of them. And show them that you care for them. Show them that you appreciate them being in your lives. For these people will be your friends on Yawm al-Qiyamah, and for these people will be your supplies in joy and your shelter in misfortune. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to allow us to surround ourselves with those that are sincere to us. We ask Allah to surround ourselves with those that will help us become closer to the deen. We ask Allah to make us closer to the deen. We ask Allah to allow us to instill a love for the deen in our hearts, to instill a love for Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in our hearts. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, anyone that's in any need, Ya Allah, please grant them the help that they need. Our Muslim brothers and sisters across the globe, Ya Allah, please, they're in need of an ally. Please be the ally that they need. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, our brothers and sisters in Palestine, in Kashmir, in China, all over the globe, Ya Allah, please grant them success and victory. And we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala once again, most importantly, to unite us the way we are united here right now in this masajid, to unite us in Jannat al-Firdaus. ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار. أقول قولي هذا واستغفر الله لي ولكم. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك. الصلاة.
الله أكبر الله أكبر. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله. أشهد أن محمد رسول الله. حي على الصلاة، حي على الفلاح، قد قامت الصلاة قد قامت الصلاة. الله أكبر الله أكبر. لا إله إلا الله.
استقيموا واستوطنوا أصوات الله. الله أكبر. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين آمين. تبارك الذي إن شاء جعل لك خيرا من ذلك جنات تجري من تحتها الأنهار جنات تجري من تحتها الأنهار ويجعل لك قصورا بل كذبوا بالساعة وأعتدنا لمن كذب بالساعة سعيرا إذا رأتهم من مكان بعيد سمعوا لها تغيظا وزفيرا وإذا ألقوا منها مكانا ضيقا مقرنين دعوا هنالك ثبورا لا تدعوا اليوم ثبورا واحدا وادعوا ثبورا كثيرا قل أذلك خير أم جنة الخلد التي وعد المتقون كانت لهم جزاء ومصيرا. الله سمع الله لمن حمده. الله 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 أكبر. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم
مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين آمين. لهم فيها ما يشاءون خالدين كان على ربك وعدا مسؤولا ويوم يحشرهم وما يعبدون من دون الله فيقول أنتم أضللتم عبادي هؤلاء أم هم ضلوا السبيل قالوا سبحانك ما كان ينبغي لنا أن نتخذ من دونك من أولياء ولكن متعتهم وآباءهم حتى نسوا الذكر وكانوا قوما بورا فقد كذبوكم بما تقولون فما تستطيعون صرفا ولا نصرا ومن يظلم منكم نذقه عذابا كبيرا. الله سمع الله لمن حمده. الله 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 أكبر. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله.